What's up, Starcraft fans? Today we're doing the tier list for Chain Explosions and Chain of Ascension. Brian, let's hear the mutation.
Chain of Ascension is the map where we have to support Jinara in her fight against Taemon's champion. To support Jinara, each player needs to stand a unit near Jinara to push her along the track to the southeast corner. If we push the fight all the way to the southeast corner, we win. But if Amon's forces support their champion and push them all the way to our corner, we lose. Lava erupts from the ground and enemies spawn infested civilians upon death.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. It's as easy as it sounds. We have Twotuuu and Sticksbender in the call with us today. How are you guys?
Great.
Good.
So, Sticksbender,
Yeah.
how will we rank the commanders this week?
Basically, we'll be looking for an excuse to not give people S.
Yeah,
We're
kind
not
of.
entirely sure why this mutation only had 2 mutators.
In the editor, it initially had self-destruction in the mutators, but
Yes,
for
which
some
is
reason,
where the name comes from.
yeah. It was supposed to be like 10 weeks after it actually came up, but yeah, the Silent Killer one got replaced by Blizzard and they just kind of hastily put in Chain Explosion. Probably some coding error. Next thing we know, we have like an actual Brutal +1 mutation. How about how about you, Twotuuu?
Yeah, this one's really easy. I don't think you can go wrong with any commander.
There we go. You can't go wrong with any commander. That's pretty much it. Let's begin. Abathur, where do we have him?
Abathur, early luring is kind of annoying because of the lava bursts and the infested, but they're not. The infested civilians are much easier to deal with than the rootlings from
Yes,
Alien Incubation.
much easier.
So they're much slower, and you can still get an early Brutalisk, and the cleave from the Brutalisk will help you clear any extras, like the infested that pop up. Later on, you just mass Swarm Hosts or Mutalisks, and you'll just clear everything.
Kind of.
Yeah, I put Abathur in A.
How about you,
You gotta
Sticksbender?
work a little.
Yeah. Lava is definitely more annoying for Abathur with his early Brutalist thing. I would note, so if we are looking for what the few challenges with this mutation are, one of them is that because of the fact that the lava bursts have to spawn within a certain radius of commander units, and the safe area on Chain of Ascension is rather huge. So what that ends up meaning is that at the beginning of the game, when the first time you go to your ramps to leave your base, there's going to be an extremely high concentration of lava bursts at the
Extremely
bottom
high.
of the ramp.
Yes.
So basically, you're going to have to stand at the top of the ramp and open the door basically by standing at the top of the ramp before you're able to really leave the base.
Kind of, yeah. Can you do
But that only stalls you for a few seconds before eventually, the lava parts and you can leave.
Can you open the door using overlords, or does it only work on combat units?
Yeah.
No?
You can use overlords.
Oh, you can use, yes or no?
Yes.
Yeah, so that opens up some strategies where you can just fly overlords around random corners to force the lava burst to spread out, kind of. Yeah?
Yep, because lava bursts can't appear over unpathable terrain, so you can just park overlords over the edge of unpathable terrain everywhere, which will dilute the lava bursts even more because we needed this to be easier, I guess. And then the other big thing that can kill people is obviously just the straight up 7-minute wave, which kills people on standard brutal on this map.
Oh yeah.
And Abathur should be fine there. If you're able to farm out ultimate evolutions, you should be completely fine for that wave. If not, you still are fine. You have toxic nests. They're a strong, solid early game. Could be a little awkward if you don't know how to farm and it's an air comp, but A is probably fine for Abathur.
Alright, he should still be A if you go for the first prestige, right? Essence Hoarder? Or does he go down to B because his army is bulky?
Nah, he should be. His army is bulky then, but the thing is, his army is all the bulky units. The roaches are completely expendable. The Mutalisks don't want to die to lava, but they can all stand on top of each other. So just make sure you're watching your units.
All right, so A for Abathur. Let's move on. Alarak, where do we have him?
Alarak. Good news, everyone. One of the mutators helps him. It just gives a whole bunch more healing to Alarak every time he destructive waves and destroys a bunch of infested.
Yeah.
He gets his whole health bar back. So that actively helps him.
Except if you are Artificer of Souls.
Yeah, well, even then, after 2 destructive waves, they all die. So even then, if you're actually actively using your Alarak and microing him, he'll still be able to become a really, really powerful hero solo unit. Yeah. The only problem for Alarak is that he has some high value Wrathwalker and Ascendants that if they get stuck standing in lava and then immediately die because lava kills them very quickly, that sucks. But it's fine. He'll live. And if you're using Dark Skies, that's 3rd prestige, then you can really just kind of double hero solo through most of the mission.
Yeah.
Use Pilot Overcharge for the hybrid, and everything should just be completely fine. So, yeah. A.
Why not S?
Not S because I think we're going to say S is going to be people who literally don't have to worry about micro against lava at all, whereas Alarak definitely has to look at his army if he's ever outside of mutator safe zones, because otherwise he has very high value units that could just spontaneously die.
All right, we're recommending Shadow of Death Prestige here, right? Or any prestige will work.
Any prestige will work. I think that Shadow of Death is the easiest, but that's because it's just the strongest Alarak prestige.
Sure. How about you, Twotuuu?
Yeah, I was about to say like Alarak I didn't give him S because he has a big army, and the bigger your army, the more likely like some of them will have to deal with lava bursts, and sometimes if the lava burst spawns and you don't like split them, or if you like move your whole army back to avoid it, then it kind of disrupts your flow.
Yeah.
So yeah. Also, with Shadow of Death, the mothership dies really fast to lava burst, so you have to pay attention.
All right.
But yeah, I put him A.
That's fair. Let's put him in A. Any prestige, still A, right?
Any prestige. I would avoid using P1 because it's a little because it's a Wrathwalker prestige and you don't want Wrathwalkers that much.
Yes.
Because they're gonna like walk through lava.
Yeah. Let's move on. Arcturus, where do we have him?
Can't be used beyond the like they can't hit the last area though because it's kind of far. His army is kind of expendable and it has high DPS, so you don't have to worry too much about like lava bursts. But of course, at the same time, you don't want to like if you don't pay attention, you're gonna lose some of them. I think he'll go in A.
Which prestige should we recommend?
Third one.
Third one, Merchant of Death.
But yeah, anyone's fine though.
Yeah. How about you, Sticksbender?
I don't know. I think that you can use ESOs to clear most of the map. Yes, you can't reach the last area, but you can contaminated strike it into oblivion. You can use nuke rain on it. You could just like your top bar is very strong. Your top bar can do most of the work on this map.
Yeah.
You have an army which if you use P3, then you don't even care if it gets caught in lava because it'll just blow up the enemies anyways by doing so.
Kind of.
I think he's S, honestly.
What do you think, Twotuuu? Can we put?
I would say he's S for solo and A for duel because your ally takes up the natural and you have less space.
That makes sense. Well,
I don't think you need that much space in the natural, but that is fair.
So
you can't make as many ESOs.
I don't think you need very many. I'm going to be honest. I would probably only stick like 6 of them at the natural at most.
I like the point about your top bars though. Like the dangerous parts here are the hybrids and the 7-minute wave. You could probably use top bars for those. So the question is,
and for clearing, fully stacked Dogs of War will probably just eat an entire base on the path to the pit for breakfast.
Depending on how many lava bursts they walk through, but is that S worthy? Remember, if it's not EMS, it's not S. So. Yeah.
I thought he was like pretty good. I didn't think of the top bar, but I also thought like the space. I considered the amount of space. So you don't have as much space, and unlike other naturals, the safe zone is not really clear.
Yeah, safe zone on this map.
This is true.
Yeah. So do we put him in A, or are you guys trying to make another case for S? Sticksbender.
Yeah, I don't know. I still think he belongs in S. I don't really think you need a huge amount of space. This isn't exactly a mutation where you need to like ESO solo it. It's just the ESOs just show up and say, "Good news, we can do even more work without ever having to leave the base." Although if he has to leave the base, troopers are not exactly thick, so the lava doesn't do that much to ruin things if you're just moving a ball of troopers around.
Okay, does that convince you, Twotuuu?
On my own paper, I put him in S. I just thought I just picked A because I thought like the space factor, but I guess since the mutation's easy enough, it's closer to a regular brutal than anything.
Yeah.
Then you don't really need ESOs, I suppose.
All
so
right.
if you have enough mandate.
So both of you had him in S.
Yeah.
All right, I actually had him in A, but both of you had him in S, so let's put him in S. Artanis, where do we have him?
Oh boy, Artanis is probably a B candidate.
Which is fine, by the way.
Unfortunately. Yeah, it's totally fine, except this week. Artanis just particularly doesn't like lava. It messes up Tempests because massive units take bonus damage from lava, so that sucks. So that's not great. And then there's Dragoons, which are not very, like, that's a big ball. So, like, for a lot of things, it's not big. For lava, it's big. if you're dodging nukes, it's fine. If you're dodging
Yeah.
lava, not so fine.
Yes.
Your best option normally also for a lot of comps you get messed up because for the infested you don't really want to be using dragoons or tempests or something. You want to be using immortals or spin lots in order to be able to deal with all the little infested popping out of everything.
Yeah.
So it makes things awkward against certain comps, which normally you would want to counter with, those sturdier dragoons and tempests. So that sucks. The best option I would think would be to just use basically Zealot Templar. Probably I would say use P1 here. And then you just can use Zealot Templar no matter what the enemy comp is.
And still have Guardian Shell.
And yeah, although a problem with having Guardian Shell, sometimes I can't figure out what it is. It's inconsistent. Sometimes Lava Spouts just decide to ignore Guardian Shell for some reason. They keep damaging the unit after Guardian Shell. It's inconsistent.
Oh,
so
yeah.
It's not fun. I'd say Artanis is B.
How about you, Twotuuu?
I also think he's B. I used Phoenix and Zealot.
Ooh.
Phoenix, Zealot, Dragoon.
That sounds fun.
And yeah,
prestige?
it's just third prestige.
Archer
So I can
Commandant.
fast expand.
That makes sense. Fast expand's really nice.
And just Archon guys are good.
Yes.
But yeah, I put him in B.
So unanimous B from all of us. Sticksbender recommends Valorous Inspirator. Twotuuu recommends Archer Commandant. I recommend any of them should be fine in B. Let's put him in B. Dehaka, where do I have him?
Dehaka. You can use Mutalisks or just throw Creeper Hosts. Throw Locusts at everything from the natural.
Yes.
And you kill most things. And then when you get to the last part, you just pay more attention to your Creeper Hosts and throw carefully. But by that time, you'll probably have like lots of spare minerals, so you could just Deep Tunnel Primal Worms. Pack leaders, they should avoid they should avoid the lava spouts, but if they don't, you have another one and they can do a lot of work. So S.
I actually thought the strategy was to eat psionic units to get the magic for it, but that works too. How about you, Sticksbender?
Yeah, he just is hero solo of the mission here with extra heroes, so it's fine. His heroes are big and chonky. Do you remember that against heroic units, lava spouts do % of max health damage? So the lava spouts will still hurt a lot if they get onto your pack leaders. So be aware of that and try to avoid losing your pack leader right after you summon it. But as long as you're aware of that, you have so much buffer with Dehaka.
So which prestige, by the way?
Probably P2.
All right.
Yeah. He probably could be S. I would put him in A though.
Okay, but are you okay with S?
He'd be fine in S. I just the only reason I'd be worried is because of how fast the pack leaders can die to lava if you aren't paying attention.
That's fair. All right, but all of us kind of are okay with S, so let's put him in S. Phoenix, where do we have him?
Phoenix, slam Caldalis into problem. Problem no longer exists. Goodbye. Move along.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about your shell farm either because the thing with lava bursts is that on one hand they're really annoying because taking no damage from lava bursts is really, really hard. On the other hand, if your army is just standing there, you'll only take minimal damage from lava bursts. Like the reason the lava bursts are so dangerous is because when you try to move your army around, then anything that walks through them will get instantly destroyed by them, and so it'll just create a slice through your army. If you just have a stack of shells standing there, then oh no, 2 of them got sniped by lava. Anyways, I just gave Caldalis more avenging protocol, so I'm okay with it. That's actually a good thing for me. So just slam Caldalis into the problem. Add Tellus. I just personally with Phoenix P2, I've just gotten into the habit of just using both Caldalis and Tellus, and that can just do everything. Just the two gateway champions plus the Phoenix suits just does everything against most situations, and this will be no different. Just move Caldalis and Tellus at the problem repeatedly until everything dies. S.
How about you, Twotuuu?
P2 doesn't matter whether it's air or not because the air units won't be stronger, and you still have a Dragoon suit, and you have Mojo, and I personally like to get all 6 champions just because why not? And then I will use the Arbiter suit and teleport the Stargate and Robo shells to the battlefield, and then have a Conservator and warp in the Gateway shells. And I don't need to worry about them dying because, like as Sticksbender said, just a few of them will die, and the rest will just stand there and chill while Caldalis and company do their work. So I put them in S.
All right, both of you had him in S. I actually had him in A, but I'm okay with S. Actually, really okay with S. And we're all recommending Network Administrator, right?
Yes.
Cool. Han and Horner, where do we have them?
Han and Horner is another B candidate because if your galleons are near the lava, they die, and if they die, then you lose a lot of production.
Yes, they do.
If you make battle cruisers, they get hurt by lava too.
Because they're massive.
If you use P2, I actually would recommend P2 so that you can just keep your galleons at the natural and fight off any trickles, walking infested trickles, and maybe if like in the early mid game the escort waves go to the middle, so you can like send some things there while you control like a pack of wraiths and just fly around and kill things. And then like destroy or weaken bases with your top bar. But still, it's like if you use your galleons, it's gonna be risky. So, and then if you don't use galleons, then you're like losing a lot of your firepower. So I just put them in B.
Which prestige?
They're P2.
All right.
But P1's fine. Just gotta be careful.
How about you, Sticksbender?
Yeah, P2 makes sense because P2 makes it so you're losing a lot less from not using your galleons. Yeah, it basically just comes down to the problem of Han and Horner's floating barracks is big, fat, slow, and really dumb with its acceleration AI. And already you're capped on barracks below where you really want to be in terms of the number of barracks you have. So that sucks.
Yeah.
Makes lava annoying. The only concern I'd have with using P2 is that the random trickle infested, your air units aren't very fast about cleaning that up. You can leave the battlecruiser in pew pew mode, at which point it's okay at it, but even still it's going to have like it'll fire multiple shots at each infested, not because it needs multiple shots to kill it, but because it'll fire shots again before the projectile reaches the dude and kills it.
Oof.
So that's not exactly ideal. B. They are, for this mutation standards, they are bad. In general, they are bad. They have nothing to really redeem them here.
Actually, I had an A, but B sounds fine for me. Karax, where do we have him?
He shoots everything from the sky. He doesn't really even have to leave his base except with an observer, and then he wins the game. You can build a bunch of IDEF, which will both, one, be able to deal with the waves, and two, this is the first time we're bringing this up, but there will be like some random trickle of infested that just kind of get like missed when you're fighting enemies. And they're not really dangerous as much as they're annoying. It's like a mosquito infestation. However, Karax gets to be someone who says, hey, look, I'm going to accidentally solve that problem if I'm using buildings to defend against attack waves. So that's nice. Accidentally solving a problem that you could easily have solved manually.
Cool.
I feel like Karax has no reason not to be S. You could just purify the entire mission from orbit.
How about you, Twotuuu?
Yeah. You can use P2, but I think P3 is fine, probably best. And then for the early game, you can just use your top bar, and later on you get carriers. And then your carriers, if you're afraid, I think if you just pay attention to the carriers, then they'll just like fly away from lava bursts. Your mineral dump will be zealots or sentinels, right? And then just doesn't matter what happens to them. S is fine.
How about mirages?
Mirages, I mean, they don't attack from a distance, but I guess you can use your Spear of Adun.
Yeah.
Mirages, sure.
Mirages, sentinels, or double life sentinels, and Spear of Adun. Yeah, just anti infested trickle, but. Yeah, I think anything works for Karax. S sounds fine. We are recommending second or third prestige, right? Probably leaning toward third one.
Third,
yeah, leaning towards third.
All right, Kerrigan, where do we have him?
Depending on the enemy, I had a bit of trouble. So against like Fleet of the Matriarch, it was kind of hard. Against ground comp, it was easy. So she cleans up everything, but like Hydralisks get burned, especially if there's like a large number of them. So it's kind of the army thing, and like big army. So you can have them just pop out of worms, but not always great. They're kind of a little bit enemy comp dependent. Ultralisks will die to lava burst really fast.
Yes.
So they're probably not that good. Mineral dump on Lings, that seems okay because they just doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But she's overall pretty good, so I put her in A.
How about you, Sticksbender?
And I must be playing too many MOBAs, I guess, because I'm sitting here like, really? You can't just solo the entire mission with just Kerrigan on P2 Kerrigan? Even against harder comps like Fleet of the Matriarch, using Kerrigan, I personally would just use basically Kerrigan solo plus lots of worms, healthy dose of worms to make your life easier, and then have a bunch of queens to transfuse Kerrigan. Yeah,
that makes sense.
Literally, all the fact that Kerrigan can jump in a worm, go to your base, get her entire health bar back, jump back in the worm, go back to the people she was fighting, and then murder them all.
I think
also the
that's
fact that you could just pop out a worm next. If you're really having trouble with Corsairs, the biggest reason you might have that is because they will disabling web Kerrigan. You can go over to the side, shoot your own worm 5 times, and then
Zap
use a
them.
spell to zap everything.
Yeah, do the carry slide.
Yeah, basically, I think the biggest thing that could make Kerrigan have a hard time here is using units, because Kerrigan's
sense,
units
actually.
are terrible. Her units really are terrible. Her Ultralisks are quite good, but her Broodlords are very situationally good. Like, in a small, narrow subset of situations, her Broodlords are amazing. Her Ultralisks are generally pretty good, and her Hydralisks are okay. That's like a summary of Kerrigan's army. It's just generally bad. I would have thought she was S, but A is, I suppose, fine if we're saying that Sticksbender stopped playing so many MOBAs and microing Kerrigan so hard.
If that's that actually sounds like a very strong strategy. If that strategy works for you, you can probably pull that off. I would give that strategy an S star. Like, if you can do it well, it's really great. But if you can't, you're gonna be stuck making units, which is probably closer to A. So, are we okay? Are we all okay with A?
Yeah,
All right.
I put her in A.
We're recommending Zap Kerrigan, right? Second prestige.
Yeah. Or
Yes.
if you don't have good Kerrigan, micro, then what you can do is you could just use P3, and then you take full immobilization wave damage mastery. And then you could just clear out the majority of bases and hybrid spawns alike, because that only has like a 2-ish minute cooldown, slightly longer than 2-minute cooldown.
Kind of.
So you can just do most of the mission with immobilization wave. Just every time hybrid spawn, immobilization wave. Every time the hybrid, like after the hybrid spawn, the next immobilization wave, use it to clear the next base forward. If you're against like Terran, all the siege tanks just get vaporized, which is really helpful for your Hydralists if you're using them. Against Protoss, they fixed it. It does 200 damage again, so it one-shots disruptors if you have full mastery.
Nice.
So like disruptors are gone. That's very nice. For Zerg, it one-shots lurkers, right? Like all these very dangerous AoE siege units that are normally defending the path along
They
to the pit.
got one shot
Jinara,
by immobilization.
They all get
wave.
one shot by immobilization wave. So like, if you aren't using P2, immobilization wave, just using that on cooldown
Smacks
to
it
do
out.
the majority of the work is going to make your life so easy. There's
wants us
almost an
bunkers.
argument to even put her in S anyways, but I'm fine putting her in A.
All right.
Like, there's actually an argument to even put her in S anyways, even if you are using Army Kerrigan, if you use the immobilization wave spam. But either way, it basically comes down to how effectively you're using your hero unit will determine how well Kerrigan does.
All right, let's move on. Nova, where do we have him?
Nova. So she's like Kerrigan, but easier, basically. Especially if you're using P3. You don't have to worry about Nova. She can just wander around and kill everything. The only way she dies is because a lava spout happens to spawn under her feet. And if she dies, oh no, my minerals. Oh no. Anyways, respawn.
Yeah.
She's back. Your nukes again are really effective for whatever you decide to use them on. If you decide to save them for a hybrid, that's fine. They'll just obliterate the entire escort for the hybrid spawn and leave only some heavily bruised hybrid for you to deal with. So that's nice and easy.
Yeah.
If you use nukes plus a Griffin airstrike, then only the big hybrid will even survive at all. At which point you could just walk in Nova, give her a defense drone, and start sniping.
Or Liberators.
Do remember, or you can use Liberators, whatever you decide to use, like anything. It's really easy. One tip to remember is that against the hybrid dominators, the big green hybrid, their plasma blast will one-shot Nova. However, if you put down a defense drone, then unfortunately the defense drone won't put a defensive matrix on Nova until she takes damage with its autocast. So they'll still one-shot her. However,
You can manually.
if you click on the defense drone and manually put a shield on Nova, then she'll survive the hybrid plasma blast. And then after that point, she'll have taken damage, so the defense drone will register, oh, I should really be shielding her. And then from there, you don't have to worry about microing anymore. It's just place defense drone, click it, manually shield Nova, hotkey is D by default, and then continue with your normal life.
So letter.
That'll save. Nova should be S with P3. Like, just clear everything with Nova. Don't even have to micro or think about it. Just literally, she's invisible.
How about you, Twotuuu?
Yeah, I put her in S because of P1 is fine too. It's a little more micro, but more firepower against hybrid. P3 is just you nuke everything and you send summons or you fly your like 4 liberators in to finish off whatever hybrid is left.
Yeah, pretty much. All right.
And you put like tanks at home or something.
Nova S. Let's move on. Raynor, where do we have him?
Raynor. He has a big army. Luckily, they're thin. They can dodge lava spouts.
Sexy
But
army.
like, sometimes though, it's kind of sucks to have to like turn back, drop mules, and then you look. Oh my God, lava spouts! If you aren't fast enough, then you might lose a chunk of your army, and it kind of slows down the critical mass.
Yeah.
Also, man, Hyperion loves to get killed by lava bursts.
Yes, it does.
I hate that so much. It's just like it's so big. It seems like
That's what you
unusually
said.
large, and you're moving, so you're gonna get yourself hit
Lava'd.
a lot unless you like know the cliffs or like areas where there are less likely to be lava spouts. So I put him as a B candidate.
Well.
He's
Sticksbender, how about
fine,
you?
But yeah.
Yeah, the other thing is that like with his army with running through lava is going to be a problem because like they basically die on contact. So that problem of when you're trying to move your army, it just cuts a line through your army becomes especially bad for Raynor. And the thing is, it's not only that, but like if you're not getting hit by the lava because you're being slow and dodging it all. Raynor's army is not very fast at getting around. Marine move speed, it's not like you're stimming around the map, otherwise you're leaving your medics behind. And Marine move speed, their base move speed is so slow. For co-op standards, Marines are a very slow unit. So basically, you're going to like run into problems where you'll spend so long trying to walk from Janara to the hybrid, avoiding the lava, that next thing you know, if your ally was waiting for you, you just ran out of time and lost.
Kind of.
It's going to take you forever to get places. Also, the Hyperion's collision box, the actual like AoE where it gets hit, is actually a fair bit bigger than the visual model.
Ouch. That's
so
why.
lava that looks like it didn't hit you will hit you. So that's a huge pain. And remember, lava does % of max health damage to heroic units, and the Hyperion is heroic.
That's probably a bug, right? We gotta get Starcraft on that.
So I believe the Alexander has the same thing, where like both the Hyperion and the Alexander, they just made them this huge flying thing whose collision is just even slightly bigger. Well, it's because the collision is
let's jump straight to the letter.
Oh.
We get it. B. All right.
B. Arguably the worst commander in the entire game for this one.
Arguably. Let's move on. Stetboy, where do we have him?
Stetmann. He puts on the green tune. He A moves Zerglings, and then he wins the game. Also, Gary kills everything.
Yes.
Gary can die to lava because he is heroic. But honestly, you should be fine. And
Zerglings are
for
there
that
anyway.
matter, even if Gary dies, you have Zerglings and whatnot.
Letter.
You should be fine. Yes.
All right.
Move, win.
Twotuuu, how about you?
My advice for Stetmann is to use P2 and to always have your Gary zone ready in case like one of your Statalites gets shot by like a long range Goliath and then you're like out of zone. So you just turn on Gary zone to fly away from a lava burst. But yeah, nothing much to add.
So the Gary zone will be a sort of panic button. In case,
yes.
Yeah. All right, that makes sense. All right, unanimous S for Statboy. Second prestige, best buddy. Stukov, where do we have him?
So P3, S for solo, A for duel, because you need space for your bunkers. And with an ally, you have a lot less space. So yeah.
All right, so we're using Lord of the Horde, bunkers.
You probably, like P1 is not as good because Diamondbacks will have to run through the lava burst, and that's not good.
Path through the lava, that makes sense. How about you, Sticksbender?
On the bright side for Diamondbacks, they have a lot of range and firewall moving, so you can just dodge the lava and accidentally kill all the enemies in the area in the process of dodging lava.
Yeah.
So that's nice.
Because you have to micro so much.
There are still like disruptors, colossi, siege tanks, lurkers defending the enemy bases, and those outrange you and will cause you pain. So yeah, basically, I would agree with putting an A, not S.
All right. I actually had him in B, but both of you have an A, so let's put him in A. Swann, where do we have him?
Swann, laser drill Gilbur. Floating factories can float over dead terrain in order to avoid lava, or if not, just make more because they're thick and will push each other apart with their collision, and they're durable. So even if they get caught in lava for a decent amount of time, it takes a while for the lava to kill them. And then as for army, probably just wraiths. They're nice and compact and fast.
Yeah, probably
and hey, if they're cloaked, they even can evade lava damage ticks.
So do we want first prestige, or do we want the nice big concentrated beam right down the middle?
Personally, I prefer first prestige, but if you know how to aim the concentrated beam for this map, it's probably better. I'm just lazy. P1 will work if you know the positionings for the top bar spells, the Concentrated Beam and Pulse Cannon. Then go ahead and use non-P1. It's probably better. Make turrets to deal with attack waves. Make wraiths to deal with bases and hybrid spawns. And win. Swann is solid. I think his clear might be slightly awkward because you have to either be patient with P1 or else have the knowledge to use the top bar to clear.
Yeah.
But honestly, I'd say that he could definitely be an S candidate.
All right. How about you, Twotuuu?
I recommend P0. You don't have to like pinpoint like precisely aim
Spots
the
on the
concentrated
concentrated
beam.
beam.
You just aim the middle, and then your next one you just aim next to it. Because you can kind of see the line, and you just aim next to it, and then next to it.
Just
You
click on the
probably
mini map.
just use like 3.
Yeah, just target
you have
the
a pulse
concentrated beam on the
cannon.
mini map.
Yeah. Pulse cannon for each hybrid wave, and then your wraiths will fly around and do cleanup. And you have like a few flaming betties to pick up to kill the infested that you don't want to kill with the wraiths. And then at home you can put more so that you can deal with attack waves. So yeah, I put him in S.
Okay, all of us. Actually, both of you say S. Actually, I had him in A, but both of you say S. Let's put him in S. Tychus, where do we have him?
Tychus. Is this even a mutation? It's just
Right?
he does like
What
normal
mutation?
things.
Yeah.
Exactly. S.
All right. How about you, Sticksbender?
Yep. Again, Lava Spout's 2% damage to heroic, so you can lose Outlaws to Lava Spurts, which,
Yeah.
oh no,
it's
anyways, they cost 250 minerals to revive. Who cares? It's fine. You're fine. Everything's fine.
We're recommending
S.
Lone Wolf, right?
Any prestige works.
Any prestige will work.
works.
All right.
Literally any.
Let's move
I
on.
used the worst one.
Use the worst one. Which
P1.
one is the worst? Oh, that's the worst one. Okay.
P1. No, I would have thought P3 was the worst one because you don't have big red button.
P1's too slow.
It takes takes a bit of money. Anyway, Vorazun, where do we have him?
Vorazun. So Vorazun has to use units, obviously, but time stop is an extremely strong call down. You can use it to just cheese your way through this map, or you can just use it to nuke things with the fact that you get a massive blob of Shadow Guard whenever you use it. Your army is mostly teleporting units, so lava isn't too bad. Plus, again, keep a Dark Pylon on a control group always on Vorazun. I always say this. You could just select that Dark Pylon and leave if the lava is a pain and you've already cleared what you were trying to kill.
Yeah.
Like, you kill what you're trying to kill, you could just immediately leave.
Bye.
Poof.
Just peace out.
Yeah, that's nice. And you can do the same thing to your ally. You could just say, okay, cool, you got what you were trying to get. Now let's get you out of there before you lose more units to lava.
You're the Choppa. Letter.
Yes. Honestly, I feel like putting her in S just because time stop can like practically
Skip the
solve
last
mission.
hybrid,
The
yeah.
spell itself can practically solve the mission.
How about you, Twotuuu?
I put her in A because she has an army. So she kind of has to worry about the army.
Vorazun will never get an S.
I mean, I'm not like strongly opposed to S, but it's just like enemy air. It's not like you need more Corsairs, and then if you have more Corsairs, you have less things. You have fewer units on the ground. You don't want Void Rays because Void Rays don't
Definitely
have
not.
a second life, and they're kind of slow. So you want Corsairs,
Fat.
but if you're fighting like an air army, then kind of sucks.
Well,
Kind of sucks.
Sticksbender, make a case. I actually had Vorazun S. Make a case,
Yeah,
Sticksbender.
air units are annoying as always. The thing is, like, if you use Corsair, one thing that I have done actually that you can do here is when they first did the buff to Vorazun's gateway units. Firstly, I tried a lot of stuff with stalkers and found, hey, her stalkers are actually quite decent now. But another thing I did is against air comps, like I tried doing Zealot Corsair actually, because the thing is with air comps, they only send like tier 1, sometimes tier 2 ground units against you, like Zerglings, Marines, Zealots, Adepts, whatever. Like that's the most advanced it gets. So your Zealots with their, self shield and stun should be able to handle that just fine, right? And the answer is yeah, they can. So what you can do is you can go Zealot Corsair if it's an air comp. You
Interesting.
still have time stop with a giant blob of Dark
Guard.
Templar for all the objectives.
Yes.
So you don't have to worry about, oh, but my Zealots are terrible at killing hybrid. That's okay. You just use top bar for that. And then that way, the reason that makes it easy is because now you just have to worry about microing your ball of Corsairs. Corsairs are fast. They're small. You should have a nice, easy time keeping them out of lava if that's your only focus. And the Zealots only cost minerals, so you can just A-move them and not care.
I would still
So-
add a bunch of Dark Templar to that because of the bases that you have to clear.
You can. I honestly, Vorazun Zealots are pretty decent. Like, the biggest problem with Vorazun Zealots is just the fact that they aren't Dark Templar. But in this case, because, you know, you're in that case against an air comp that you don't want to be microing Dark Templar and Corsairs at the same time against Lava because you might mess up, Zealots are ideal. And if you have that many Corsairs, the thing about that is that you get to like 30 Corsairs, and now when you're attacking the base, nothing can shoot because the entire base is just one giant disruptive web.
Disruptive web, yeah.
So
What do you think,
you could be
Twotuuu?
using base 1v1 Zerglings. It doesn't matter. They can't shoot back.
What do you think, Twotuuu?
I mean, this mission is easy enough that like she could do it, I guess.
We put an S?
I fought against Hope of the Kali and it was fine.
Oh.
Doing Dark Templar Corsair.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we get her first S?
Sure.
I don't think this is her
I've-
first S. I'm pretty sure
I'm not.
she's had
It's not a
S for
pity
her
S.
for
I
her
was never
teams.
really opposed to
Alright.
like S here. I just initially didn't think like she was S, but
Yeah, no,
makes,
she's fine.
it's like easy enough.
I'm gonna
I think also Vorazun's gotten S before for her ability to cheese Scythe of Amon, by the way. But anyways.
Oh, well, I don't remember that one. Zagara, where do I
Yeah.
have him?
Zagara, her reinforcements run through lava. So her hero unit by herself can't do as much as other heroes units can do by themselves, excluding Alarak. So I put Zagara in B.
B. How about you, Sticksbender?
That Alarak comment was weird, given that I'd consider Alarak like one of the possibly like the second strongest here.
By itself with no help.
Yeah.
Stronger than Gary?
But I mean, I have done things where like I've had against mutators that actually make the enemy stronger, and I've with P1 Alarak hero soloed the entire on like part and parcel the entire bottom right corner base, soloed that with just Alarak hero unit with P1 against mutators making the enemy stronger. Alarak's hero unit has so much room for micro potential. You can really get value out of him. Anyways, this is a complete sidetrack. Yeah, Zagara's hero unit is not amazing, but it's okay. The lava's going to be a huge pain because your reinforcements are going to die when walking through it. It's basically the banelings are going to waste themselves on the random infested that pop out of stuff. She's got everything going against her except for the fact that this mission is so easy that B is like the absolute minimum that she keeps.
All right,
I
unanimous
feel
B.
like
There we go.
just-
Zeratul, where do we have him?
Zeratul. Lava's actually quite annoying for him. Also, the random infested, his cannons already have a problem with overkilling when it comes to killing like single target stuff like Zerglings, so the infested don't make that any better. Basically, I would say that he's A, if not for the fact that technically his hero unit can solo it, so it's an argument for S, but I'm gonna stick with I think Zeratul should be A, because even though I know Zeratul can easily do a no mining solo here with his hero unit, Kerrigan, Alarak can also easily solo with just hero unit. The only difference is that their hero unit scales with a bit of money, whereas their tool scales just by finding rocks on the floor and huffing them. So that's the only real difference there. I think that their tools actually only A, I would argue.
How about you, Twotuuu?
It's cannons. They're like you just project them and then things die. Like the projections are like your version of Lavaverse.
Yeah,
You-
they're
you-
completely
you-
expendable.
You just throw them in random places and then they kill things and sometimes they die and then they'll go away and then you make more.
All right, letter.
I put them
Yeah.
in S because like with P2 you can keep finding fragments and you just make your cannons stronger over time.
They don't become more resistant to lava, do they?
No, but they'll kill things faster. and
They
they'll have-
sort of do, because when you get your third fragment, they get the barrier, but that's it.
Oh,
All
yeah.
right. So what do you think, Sticksbender?
Yeah, fine, you can be S.
Literally over half of the commanders are an S. If you're not S, you're bottom half. That's how
Anyways,
insanely easy this
now
is.
the actually interesting part of the tier list.
Do we
the part
have-
where we try to these people?
Do we have any double S?
Nah,
I don't think so.
not really.
All right. Who's top of S? My vote is Stetboy, of course. Either Stetboy or
Oh
Tychus.
my gosh.
Nova?
Nova?
I would say Stetmann, Tychus, one of them.
Yeah, Stetboy. My vote goes to Stetboy and Tychus. Like the green zone, blue zone, Zerglings. Tychus, you just literally play normally. I think those two are top.
Tychus, I think, makes the most sense because, like, losing an outlaw is less punishing than losing Gary.
Still have Zerglings, but okay. I think we can all agree with Tychus.
Yeah, you still have Zerglings, but like Zerglings can't shoot up, and they're not particularly fast about clearing. Like if there's no stat zone, then Zerglings are not actually very strong for pushing into bases without a stat zone. So and putting Stellalites down in the enemy base, like they're gonna get shot down by anti-air things if you don't have Gary tanking for them. So it's just basically you can't do you don't necessarily, you likely don't die if Gary dies because you can defend waves, but you can't really do anything until Gary respawns. So whereas Tychus and Outlaw dies, and then you move on with life. And if you're using anything other than P3, if Tychus himself dies, oh no! Anyways, the Odin's here. Tychus is back. Now he has a big button. Everything's dead. Also, big button. I really think like big red button is very nice for this map because this map is one that has like in general board nukes are really nice on this map because it means that what hybrid? Janara, I think you're hallucinating. There are no hybrid. There's just a giant crater.
Yeah. All right. So Stet Boy's next.
Honestly,
I don't think Gary should die. I don't think Gary should even die.
No, he shouldn't. But like again, this is like everyone's S here. I personally would put Stetmann quite a bit lower because again, I like the whole being able to just say what hybrid. Personally, I would put Karax above him. I would put Nova above him. I don't think I'd put Mengsk above him, but I'd put Karax and Nova above him personally.
Karax and Nova?
But I'm okay seeing him next because he's definitely like top half of the S tiers.
I think he's
like personally.
I think he's
I can
higher.
agree with Tychus being the best. I would personally put Nova and Karax both above Stetmann.
Nova and Karax. I can see a case for Karax, but
I mean, I think Nova's better than Karax too because of the fact that P3 lets you clear everything easily, and the
just
P3
airstrikes?
nuke, plus the airstrikes, but also the P3 nuke. Remember, P3 also reduces the cooldown of your nuke, so you can use your nuke for everything, and that nuke is the size of the screen. And it doesn't have damage fall off on the edges, so it really does just
I think it looks
obliterate everything on the
fancier.
screen.
I think it looks fancier, but it's not as effective as having an E-Gorb or 3 E-Gorbs every like 10 seconds or something.
I believe
And the green
cooldown is more like
overcharge
30.
just the green overcharge just makes your stuff like close to immortal.
I don't think Stetmann plays differently.
No, he doesn't.
Plays normally.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about anything.
Plus,
I
you can,
think for
you can
the
always
base,
add.
I think for the base brutal plus 0 mission, Nova is easier here because she has a board wipe, and Stetmann doesn't. That is my argument.
What do you think, Twotuuu?
I think Stetmann's easier. Just like you can run around the map for free, and that will run away from lava burst. You like get tickled by one maybe, and then you turn the green on, and you're back to full health again. Your whole army is like expendable as long as you pay attention to Gary. Make sure he doesn't fly into like. Make sure that you always have a stat. You're in a zone. Satellite zone.
Yeah.
Whereas
Actually,
like Nova kind of like you have to you have to like it's not that much harder, but it's like you gotta be aware of more things.
I would say the nuke on Nova it definitely looks fancier. It definitely looks it's definitely one click to activate it, but the way you get there, you kind of have to walk around. You have to I guess we also have to walk around, but I don't know. I feel like just
Gary has to place Steadilites to be able to walk around like that. Nova just walks around. Or if she dies, she just summons there.
That's true. I don't know. I still think that the big nuke, isn't available frequently enough to justify putting him over Stetboy because
it's a
Gary's
minute 30
Igor...
cooldown. It's literally for every 3 E-Gorbs you get, Nova gets a nuke.
What?
I don't think it's
not
no.
that.
There's
Like
no
4
way.
minutes.
Wait, am I misremembering what it is with P3 with full mastery? Okay, what's the
It's
cooldown?
not
Mastery
1
is-
minute.
It's like 4 minutes.
Yeah, there's no way.
P3 halves it, remember?
You can
So,
reduce it by 1 minute and a half with the mastery.
I think that mastery plus, because remember, P3 also has the cooldown of her nuke. So I think with mastery,
There's no way
plus
it cuts it
P3,
down
was
to
it 2
90
minutes?
seconds.
So it's 7 minutes, and if you have it, then it's like 3.5. Then it becomes like 3 or something, right?
Yeah, there's no way it's like 90
no, well,
seconds.
There's no way it's a minute something.
No, I believe it's the other order. It subtracts it and then halves it. But or no, wait, yeah, I have it in this. It does.
If you
I'm pretty sure it does whichever is greater. I can't remember. I think it does.
7 minutes, then it becomes 5.5, and then it's like halve it, then it's like 3 or something, or like 2 point
Okay, it
something.
might have
or
been
like
like 3.
2.75.
I remember it was just really short feeling, but
Even then,
if it's 2.5, is Gary is 30-second cooldown on Igorb? Yes. No.
is it 30 seconds? Hold on, let me do it. Let me check. Okay, so the cooldown on the Igorb is 30 seconds, but that's pre mastery, so you can reduce it by 30% to 21 seconds. So 21 seconds. Nova's nuke with all the cooldowns or with all the cooldown reduction is 165 seconds. So you can fit 8 Igorbs for 1 nuke. And the thing with the nuke is you don't use the entire area. You don't hit something with the entire area of the nuke. You hit a base, yes, but I think it's still more efficient to use the E-Gorbs to clear rather than one singular nuke. Plus, you can...
You don't get huge value out of every Igor either. I'd say it's pretty the same.
Well, the nuke
Either way, also Nova can use sabotage drones, so I'd prefer Nova's hero unit, but you can have Gary. Gary is fine as well.
Okay, I will have Gary then. Let's put Stet Boy, second, and then Nova or Karax next.
I'd put Nova next.
Nova.
All right, then Karax.
Then Karax. Then probably Phoenix.
Phoenix
Actually,
next?
there's almost an argument for putting Phoenix above Karax because he's like mini Tychus, but
Not Dehaka?
hey, he's fine.
Dehaka has that potential slowdown of pack leaders.
Right. All right.
Yes.
So Phoenix next. And after Phoenix...
Yeah.
Personally, I'd put Mengsk above Dehaka too. I think that the whole pack leaders being big and large is a pain and a problem, but whatever.
Okay.
Dehaka next is also fine.
So Arcturus, then Dehaka, then Vorazun? Kerrigan? No.
Vorazun, Zeratul.
Vorazun, Zeratul, Swann bottom of S?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, let's do a recap. So S, we have Tychus, Stetboy, Nova, Karax, Phoenix, Arcturus, Dehaka, Vorazun, Zeratul, and Swann in that order. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Then for A, we have who's best in A?
Kerrigan.
Kerrigan.
I
I'm
think
okay with
so.
Kerrigan. Stukov.
Oh.
Because of the he's S if it's solo. Because he just spam bunkers.
If your ally doesn't expand, then it's probably S, because you could just stick the bunkers down at the expansions. It's true.
So Stukov top of A.
It's a lot less work.
That's true.
I'd still say Kerrigan better, but Stukov is fine as well.
All right, let's put both of them in the top. Top of A, Stukov and Kerrigan. You guys don't know which order because you can't see my tier list, but they will appear in some order at the top of A. And then who's next? Alarak?
And then you just put them both at the bottom of A to troll us. Abathur is the bottom of A, by the way.
Okay,
Yeah.
Alarak, then Abathur. There we go. For B, who's top of B? Han and Horner?
Artanis probably, yeah.
Artanis?
And
Okay. And then Han and Horner?
problem.
Artanis, Hunter Horner, Zagara,
Zagara,
Raynor.
then Raynor. All right.
Yes.
So I don't suppose we need to talk about synergies, right? Because there are like 4 commanders who are not an S or A. Yes, I agree. Twotuu's internet wants to go to bed. Guys, watch Sticksbender and Twotuu's channels. I will link them down below, and I will see you guys next time.